Hey guys, Chris here with Ron Boots Farm, and today we're going to be talking about electric netting for our goats. Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today this video is going to be on this electric netting that I'm not going to touch right here, if you can even see my finger, because it's hot. But this is going to be for our goats, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, why we decided to use it, what this product is, and a little bit about our charger. So I'm going to flip you around here so I can show you some of this. To get our goats out of our chicken runs here, we built all these pens. There's 6 of them that we originally made to rotate chickens through, and ducks or whatever other poultry we wanted to get. And then we got the goats because the weeds were going up, and we ended up getting these goats from our neighbors, the 2 Boers there, and put them in there. And of course, as goats do, they have, just being curious, pushed on the fences and tried to get through, and they've tore up a lot of our gates. The gates weren't meant for goats. They were, again, just for the chickens. And then even though this wire was buried in the ground, they pushed on it enough to pull it loose in a bunch of places. So that's one reason they're locked up in this last pen here, because they pushed through the fence on the other side and almost got out the other day. So our plan was to get them out here anyway, so we will be doing that. And one reason we decided to go with this netting is eventually in the pasture, and right here you can see this clump here that I need to weed eat, and over there, those are the sprayers for our aerobic septic system. And so we can't really plant or do anything in this area as far as any trees or that kind of thing. But out here in the back, we plan to plant about 4 to 5 rows of fruit trees and nut trees, along with blackberries and other berries and fruits back here, and then graze goats, or maybe we thinking about get some sheep later on, some kind of animals, and maybe even build some chicken tractors and have some chickens going through here to help with bug control and fertilization of the pasture. So my thoughts were trying to figure out how to, once we get ready to plant the trees, keep the goats from getting in them. And I was going to, at least thought about putting in some permanent electric fence. But then you had all the gates and trying to walk through it when the goats weren't there. And then if we decided we didn't want the goats, you had all that fence to take up. So I thought I would go with the netting. Now, this is actually poultry netting, and I went with it just because you can use it for more things than just the goats. Since it is poultry netting, it could be used with chickens or other animals. Plus, since we do have the one kinder buck, and we plan on getting some more kinder goats, and they're smaller, I didn't want to take a chance with them with any smaller kids once they were born, getting their heads stuck through it and getting entangled in it. So we did go with the poultry netting. I went with the taller. This is the 48-inch version. There's 6 strands here, 100 feet each, so it's 600 feet that I got right now. And again, this will be temporary. I've just built this corridor basically from this the gate there and this last pen from the chicken barn. This will get out past the aerobic system, and then I just circled this area, and you can see that I've mowed everything else, but I left a lot of the brush and weeds, since that's what the goats like to eat. And I just mowed a path and kept it short, because if your grass gets up into that, it will short it out. And so I just mowed, once I measured it all off with my measuring wheel, I mowed it short and then ran this up. I did all this myself, so it was pretty easy to do. Staked my corners with just a T-post that I drove in to pull all the corners tight. Maybe you can see this one down there as well. You can see that. And was able to, just, like I said, do all this myself. I went with the double. If you look at, this is Premier One Fencing. If you look at their website, they have the single or the double stake post. I went with the double. Again, since I was going to spend the money on it anyway, figured I might as well get the best, and so I went with the double, and then also went with the poultry netting instead of just the goat or the other netting they have with the larger holes, so that I could use this for chickens or other animals. Again, that way, once we start planting our trees and I have some other kind of mobile shelter for the goats, because I don't always plan on having this corridor or them coming back to this barn, but once we have some kind of other mobile shelter, then I could just run the netting in the laneways between the trees, keep the goats in there, and then move them to the next one and the next one. My hope is to maybe leave them a month or so between each section, moving them down. That way they're not on the same patch of grass all the way, cutting down on the need for wormer, as well as taking the pressure off. And then again, since they eat weeds and all that, and they will eat grass, but they're not as big on it as browse, we may have to get sheep or something else to keep the grass down as well. So that is kind of the setup here and why I went with this. Now we did go with a solar charger. I wanted that since the goats are so bad about pushing on things. With the solar charger, I don't have to worry about if the power goes out, the fence losing charge. So I'll probably talk a little bit more about this in another video, but this is a Premier PRS 100X. Kind of expensive, but it's got 2 batteries. Supposed to run up to 5 days if there are cloudy days off the batteries without needing to be recharged. So I'll do a little more in-depth review of that after we've had it running for a little while. But again, the charger, ground rod, it's connected there. I'm gonna pause this and walk down here and show you a couple of my joints, and then we will let the goats out and see how they do. So you can see how this joins up. This is where 2 sections meet. You just got the clips, clip them together there. So pretty easy, and then just tie the post. They're stuck in at the bottom, and I got 1 string on this one. Some of them I've got more, but pretty easy to join it together. I'm gonna walk down here to the down here to this corner because I had to do a little bit different scenario there, and we'll talk about that. Down here at this corner, we were just down there where I just was videoing, was about halfway down. So here, what I did was I ran the fence originally. I measured off and knew pretty close, but I ran from there all the way up to the corner and then down, back down here, and the end piece is right there at the corner. And I knew it was going to be pretty close as far as making it match up. So the last one I ran from the gate back this way, so I wouldn't have a lot of extra fence piled up there where it met, and I knew I could overlap here. So as you can see, hopefully you can see this. This is the end, and again, I don't want to touch it. This is the end, I believe. No, I'm sorry. This is the second to last post for the one coming from this direction, and then I just doubled it back, and here's the actual last post from this piece that's coming this way. It's just doubled back. And then this one is coming down here, wrapped it around the corner, and this is the actual last post of that section. So to get power, since I'm hooked into the end of that one, to get power to the rest of the fence, these have to be connected. And of course, since they didn't touch right at the end, the clips won't reach. So what I did is I just took a regular piece of electric wire, just aluminum 14 gauge wire, ran it through the clip and used a pair of pliers to bend that over tight. Hopefully that's focusing, you can see it. And then just ran that fence wire down and did the same thing to that one. Now I don't know if this is Premier approved, but it's working. I have checked the voltage. I'll show you here, but I've checked it all the way at the end. And this meter actually comes, if you get the kit, this meter comes with it. I have a couple others, but I didn't figure it'd hurt for a few more dollars to have an extra one. So this one is a non-touch one. You don't have to use the ground. A lot of them have the piece you stick in the ground. This one you just got to hold it close and hit the button. So, oh, you know what? I guess I do have it all. So I'll turn it on and I will check it. I'll show you that one. This is registering about 8,000 volts. I've checked it. The end of the fence is over there because it's charged right here, going all the way through. And I did have it off a minute ago, but as you can see, hopefully that's showing up. The light's going all the way up to 8,000 volts. I've read you want at least 3,000 to 4,000 for goats at the end of your fence, and it's still showing 8,000 over at the end. I did have one short when I first hooked this up. About halfway over, one of the wires had slipped down around the stake, and as I walked around, and when I got around to the end, I was only getting about 2,000 volts. And as I walked back that way, I could hear it clicking and saw where the line had been pushed down. So I fixed that, and now we're getting, again, 8,000 volts all the way around. So I'm gonna go in there. You can see I've tied up a pallet in there because they were pushing on that gate, getting ready to tear it up when I first put them in there. So I'm gonna go untie all of that. That electric fence from the outside that I'd put up to keep, we were having a problem with the bobcat getting our chickens. It's off right now, but I'm gonna unhook that, and then we will let the goats in here and see what happens. Freedom. Dumb Max can't figure out how to walk through the other gate. Come on, look what's down here. Look what's down here. Hollering and come through the gate. Yeah, come on. Come on. Max. Come on. Come on. He's so dumb he can't figure out how to come through the gate. That's why I need him out of here so I can get my gates open, come in here with my weed eater with the blade on it, cut all this down. Max, come on.